750, Big 550 KTRS. Gabe Crocker, who has been on all over the place, CNN, MSNBC. Have you been on MSNBC?
No.
No, me neither. Fox News. Gabe Crocker, St. Louis County Police Association president, joining us at 7:50 each morning to give us a sort of rundown of what happened last night. And we were sort of black humor with Jim Ryan earlier. We're in a bizarro world where overturned police cars and riots and fires, and we wake up and we say, boy, it was a better night last night.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a big improvement over the previous night. So, still over 40 arrests.
Right.
And much more smaller groups of violent protesters. They're still out there.
Right.
Still out there, rebel rousing, but we had more personnel as we were supported by additional National Guard troops, Missouri National Guard troops.
Right.
So that again did what we had hoped it would do the first night, which was backfill all those positions, and then give our officers the ability to get out there and really get in there and strike at those people that were targeting certain businesses.
It seemed like the police went in, took out a bad person, pulled them out of the crowd, and then handed them to the National Guard, and then the National Guard, quote-unquote, processed them. Is that accurate?
No, that's very accurate, and the addition of so many Missouri National Guard troops really did make a difference. I've talked to two officers that were there. I talked to them this morning, and they just said, the one guy just said they were rock stars. It was just to have them there.
The National Guard.
The National Guard.
Yeah.
Of course, I think all of our officers are rock stars.
Right. But they finally felt supported where they could go in, do what they had to do, and they didn't have to protect their home base, if you will.
Right. Now, of course, you had fewer protesters and violent protesters. That's what we're talking about. And so with these additional National Guard troops, we were able to get those calls. First of all, fewer calls for property damage and looting and buildings on fire, and shots fired, and so overall reduction in the volume of calls. So when a group would start to gather, we could move our teams in place quicker, because we had, additional teams, additional personnel,
right,
and they could quell that, very quickly.
Right. That's
ideally what would have happened the night before, but because it was so widespread and there was so much looting in so many different areas, and the controversy about,
right,
where were the police and all this,
right, we'll get to that in a second.
That didn't happen last night. Smaller crowd, colder weather. And I also like to think that some of the things that happened the night before may have, for 80-plus arrests,
right,
or 60-plus arrests, 80 in the region.
How much looting went on last night? Some stores were ruined as well last night.
I don't know so much about the looting. I know there was more property damage. I know that the one police car was damaged. You've seen some of the video where and again, shows the danger of those Molotov cocktails that we've been talking about since August.
Right.
Where you actually, this time it's caught on camera and you see it hit the police car, spills over the hood of the car onto the ground, and ignites or flashes a little, right, more at the feet of these of the other people standing around, citizen journalists.
And instantaneously the car is on fire.
It was on fire, but I think they got that fire out pretty quick. I don't think that car burnt like some of the police cars had the night before.
Yesterday you were saying that Monday night, one of the big problems was you had looters who would get to a store, and then the police officers would go break it up, and then they'd come back. Was that the case at all last night?
I don't know if that was specifically the case last night, because again, we had more personnel that were able to respond quicker,
right, and keep them away.
And keep them away. Because one of the things you like to do is, and one of the things that happened on Monday night, this is just a small microcosm, is as our officers were moving down West Florissant, as you move along and clear, you'd like to leave a couple people behind. To continue to protect what you've just cleared. Doesn't do you any good if you move along and then just leave it open behind you. Well, we didn't have, in some cases, there may not have been enough personnel, and we were dealing with crowds that were just overrunning certain areas. And again, in a much wider area. We didn't experience what we experienced Monday night, which was, I mean, I said it on your show yesterday, different zip codes. I mean, Toys R Us here, a business over here. I mean, in some cases, a mile to 2 miles apart, and those are city miles, a little different than a country mile, and that did make a big difference. Certainly, I believe it was the addition of the National Guard troops that made such a huge difference.
Let's talk about the National Guard, because the mayor of Ferguson was vocal. Held a news conference. Where was they? Governor Nixon held a news conference. We're going to have more. Peter Kinder was on this show, as well as Megan Kelly on Fox, saying, where were the National Guards? What are your thoughts? They deployed 700 the first night. 400 went to the city of St. Louis. That left 300 for Clayton and the epicenter, which everybody knew was going to be Ferguson. So they deployed more National Guardsmen in the city than in Ferguson. Was that a mistake?
I don't know if it was a mistake. I wasn't in on the planning, but I can tell you we can go back and look at it and go, there possibly could have been an inversion of those numbers. Okay? I mean, and I don't want to second guess anybody because I wasn't in the room, and there could have been reasons. There could be intelligence out there that showed something other than what we know now. I said it on your show yesterday. I'll say it again today. It's going to take me a little while before I come to a firm belief or a firm opinion on what exactly happened. I'm understanding a little more today that there was some type of delay in being able to contact the governor, who could have greenlit the additional troops that were in the area.
Right.
Okay, I'm not placing blame yet, but I'm saying they were there, they were at the ready, and they had their vehicles in park.
Well, that's the argument that the mayor of Ferguson's making, is that he couldn't get to the governor.
Right, and I don't think it was just him. I think there were other people. So, and that's why I was so. I don't want to be on the defensive. I'm just trying to ask everyone in this age of Twittering and Facebooking
and instant criticism,
24-hour news cycles. Where were the police last night? Well, I mean, we can go round and round about that. Because, again, you saw what happened in Ferguson, where you had in August, where all of the protesters were concentrated in one area, and then you had peaceful protesters and violent protesters and citizen journalists, and everybody was getting tear gas.
Whoever's actually answering your questions, maybe you can get them to answer the question that the community has, is if you had 2,500 National Guardsmen at the ready, why did you deploy them on the second night and not the first night? Because you called them up a week beforehand. Why? So that everyone will be ready, so everyone's in place. So we're going to take this extra step, and then had them there, never called them up, and then the few you had there, you didn't engage them. That's the question. Not me, not the mayor of Ferguson, but every small business owner and everybody who has called St. Louis home has that same question.
Yeah, and I don't have the answer to that question. I wish I did, because I'd love to sit here and tell you exactly what happened and exactly what. There is a part of me, speculation only, that still believes that some political involvement there about the nervousness of this militarization idea, and that we don't want to give the impression of too much military presence. So then the next night, McGraw, I mean, that's what we've been doing since August.
I know.
We do one thing, they go, why didn't you do that? We do another thing, they go, well, why didn't you do that? Now we're doing the things they wanted us to do back in August, and it's turned back around on us, and they go, well, why didn't you do something a little more like what you did in August?
You call it the National Guard. What? Where's the National Guard? How come the National Guard wasn't here?
Right, absolutely. Classic. And again, those visuals on Monday night were in small areas, and criminal activity, violent criminal activity, was in a widespread area.
I have a question for you, and I know we got to go.
Yeah.
But there's concern, I'm sure.
We're supposed to talk more.
I know, I'm looking at you. Because it's a holiday travel. There were protesters on highways yesterday. Another concern for that today as people are heading out.
I don't have any intel on that, but I can tell you those types of demonstrations should certainly be expected through the holiday, and potentially in shopping areas or major intersections on Black Friday and through the holiday weekend.
That's Gabe Crocker. Gabe, be safe out there. St. Louis County Police Association President. 2 days in a row. I almost got your name right. Gabe Crocker. It's a quick check. Tim Wiley.